Well, so we never finished the plot. So we were the last place. I mean, we jumped around, obviously, but
we got pretty much.
We got all of it.
Like you could guess, like the guy with the wings. What is it? Like she breaks the machine, and then, or wait, no, we did get to the end because we were talking about how she was innocent. She was in the pure.
Oh yeah.
Protected from the Montbus.
Right, we mentioned the key. So the invisible key. So she ends up the invisible key unlocks the Black Queen's Chamber of Dreams. Is that what it's called? Yeah, which is surrounded by an invisible wall. So the only way to open an invisible wall is with an invisible key. Anyway, she gets
the invisible wall all the walls are basically made with an oil projector, which I always wondered what those were because they're mentioned in a BC Boys song. Sounds of Science on Pulse. Maya's kind of flown like an oil projector. How you get up, you get the Jimmy protector, blah blah. But I was kind of like, what the hell is an oil projector? And it's just a very bright light. You put some water with some colored oil in front of it, you spin it around or shake it.
Okay.
And that's what all the walls in the Chamber of Dreams were.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we're seeing her dreams. The Black Queen is sleeping, and we're seeing her dreams. So that's what there's one very brief moment in which you see an actual scene, and it's her talking to the angel. But the rest of it is those kind of is that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, the Queen wakes up and blah blah blah. She decides to destroy the world, and so she sets free the Matmos. The two of them are put in a protective bubble because of Barbarella's innocence.
And we get to see Gran get drowned in a lot of water that's all suspiciously kind of thick and white looking.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just leaned over and crashed my head into Dan's Game Boy. Probably worth thousands of dollars.
No, I picked that thing up for $5. They didn't realize that it wasn't. I'm not sure how they didn't realize that was working because I literally just put batteries into it, put a cartridge in it, and it worked.
And of course it's Tetris.
Oh yeah, I mean, what else are you going to play on a Game Boy?
All right. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't realize that the back is open, and so there's just
I don't have a battery cover.
2 AA batteries in there. I don't know. I imagined that there's some more sophisticated battery going on there, not just 2 AA's.
No, it's just 2 AA's. There was a wall adapter for them, which I don't have with it. I'm replacing the screen because the screen is... Yeah. If any of you have an old Game Boy out there and you think that it's too scratched up beyond repair, the screen is not the thing on the outside of the screen. You take an X-Acto knife, carefully pry up the edges where it's black, peel it off, maybe clean off a little bit of the sticky stuff. You can order a replacement one for like $3, including shipping off the internet, and just push it right on and you're good to go.
And for anybody out there who has Game Boys that they want to get rid of, tweet at us, and Dan will take him off your hands. Dan will fly out to the Netherlands and Pakistan and pick up those Game Boys.
Well, I mean, that's the only way to... I'm trying to think if there's like a multiplayer. I always wanted to play Faceball for like a bunch of Game Boys, although I think you can only do it for up to 4 Game Boys. But
you can put multiple Game Boys together?
Yeah. Here.
I am handing the Game Boy to Dan, and Dan is looking at the top.
Let's see.
He's looking around.
There's like a weird sensor on the top here. I don't know what that is. But yeah, so you get what's called a link cable. You put it into that thing, and then you put it into the thing in the other Game Boy.
Okay.
And then you can play like I have a version of Tetris over there where you can do it 2-player with 2 Game Boys. But Faceball is maybe the first ever first-person shooter game. So think like Doom or Quake or anything where you're walking around.
Diablo 3. That's what I'm playing right now.
Oh, yeah. And anything where it's like over the shoulder, you got guns and you're like shooting at people. Except you're playing as a giant smiley face. Everyone else in the maze is just different shaped smiley faces. And it was originally released... Well, I think it was originally released for the Commodore or something or other, but the most famous release of it was for the Game Boy, which is crazy because it's got 3D graphics.
Uh-huh.
And the original Game Boy version that they wanted to release that I don't think ever actually got released, if you had 16 copies of the cartridge and 16 Game Boys, so like a lot of kids on your bus investing a lot into this, you could play 16-player FPS, kind of like, you know, if you went on, like, played Halo online or something, but with shit graphics. Yeah, 16-player first-person shooter game, melee excitement on Game Boys.
Ah, cool. Wait, so you're hooking up 16 Game Boys to each other?
So the original version of Faceball. Here, let's look up a picture of it. It's hard to. Maybe Ron can describe it with fresher eyes, because I've played so much of this game.
I type Faceball and it completes with Facebook.
Mini Maze, yeah, that's the game. So
okay. There's a giant smiley, 3D smiley face, but it's not smiling. It's screaming in agony as a wall is blowing up behind it.
So you're every one of the play maps essentially looks like that Windows 95 screensaver where it just keeps going down a hallway with bricks.
Yeah.
You're a smiley face. You shoot like little pellet things at other smiley faces in the maze.
Did we play it here?
I probably have put it on the TV at some point when you've been here because I am like obsessed with that game. I probably put the TurboGrafx CD version, which has like better graphics and you can put up to 4 players without having a bajillion Game Boys and a bajillion copies of the cartridge.
I think the three of us, you, me, and the Elizabeth the Podguest played it.
Yeah.
Because I was imagining you describing it, I'm picturing in my mind. Wait, I've seen this. I've played this. What was it? Okay, it was probably a month ago.
Yeah. So let's see. In the TurboGrafx version, I play it because it was never actually the TurboGrafx CD version was never actually released. I don't even know if it'll come up with the TurboGrafx. And also the TurboGrafx was named PC Engine. Yeah, so PC Engine and TurboGrafx are the same thing. And so this is find some images here, and I'm sure you're gonna remember. Yeah, that face. Yeah. That's what we were playing.
Okay.
But anyway. So that's the only real reason to have multiple actual Game Boys. Really, even because like pretty much anything single player that you can play on an actual Game Boy, you can play with no lag and have it look a lot better on like a Nintendo DS, which you could pick up for probably $10 at this point. Mm-hmm. And that's if you really need it to be like a handheld experience. If you just want to like play the thing on whatever, like any computer or cell phone that is not my cell phone will play Game Boy games fine. Like the thing requires less processing power than a lot of calculators. Like.
Okay. So anybody who has any Game Boys working Game Boys that they wanna offload
or not, those things are really easy to fix.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So any Game Boys, working or unworking. Send them our way, and by our way I mean Dan's way. Because
I don't like take the stuff apart compulsively.
Yeah.
How did we get from like the failings of second wave feminism to like send Dan a Game Boy?
Oh, I was laughing at something you said.
Oh, right. You hit your head on the Game
fell over
Boy,
to my side as I was laughing and I hit the Game Boy. So, Barbarella. So, why don't you tell us something about Jane Fonda? So, okay, when I think of Jane Fonda now, this is actually Barbarella is what I think of. Because I've seen this before. I saw this... 20 years ago. Mm. So when I think of Jane Fonda, the first thing I think of is Barbarella. But my first introduction to Jane Fonda was when I was younger than a teenager. I was probably more like a tween, before that term was invented.
The exercise tapes?
With the exercise tapes. That's how I first became familiar with her. I didn't realize that she was a noted actress until a while later.
Well, she's had a lot of career phases because she's in that Netflix show now as like...
Frankie and Grace and Frankie. Yeah. I can't remember.
Something like it's sort of like AARP the show.
But right. So now she's known for that. Before Barbarella, a while back, she was known as Hanoi Jane, because of taking the picture she took with the cannons in with the Viet Cong,
right,
during the Vietnam War.
She's also the daughter of Henry Fonda, who is in a lot of movies, including My Darling Clementine and. I What else is he? I mean, he was in a lot of...
Okay, wait, I'm trying to think of the book. Let's see, who is the...
Well, he was in
author,
On
but
Golden
going
Pond, right, when he was...
Your
really-
Old Poop? Yeah, with Katharine
Yeah.
Hepburn.
That was when he was way older. Like, he was in a lot of westerns and stuff in the, like, 40s and 50s.
What's the movie about, the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl?
Oh, wait, yeah, Grapes of
West?
Wrath. Wait, how do I forget?
Thank you.
Grapes of Wrath is the huge one, right?
Yeah.
Whenever there's a guy beating up a guy, I'll be there. That's Henry Fonda.
Okay.
Henry Fonda.
Oh, wait, was he 12 Angry Men? Is that Henry Fonda?
Yep.
Okay.
That's definitely Henry Fonda.
That's a great...
Well, he's one of the angry men. There's 11 other angry men who aren't Henry Fonda.
Right. But he's angry. He's
One
angry
of
at
them
the
is
other...
Duran Duran.
He's angry at the other jurors, right? Because they want to convict immediately. Oh, yeah, spoilers for 12 Angry Men.
Right, he's the first angry man.
Yeah.
He's like the guy who was doing it before it was cool.
Yeah. Well, he questions the guilt of the defendant. Everybody assumes that the defendant is guilty, and he's the only one that doesn't make that assumption. Or does he turn around? Does he himself... No, he doesn't make that assumption, even if he might have made it immediately after hearing all the evidence.
I remember, because I haven't seen that movie in at least 12 years. Yeah, he basically says, like, there's not enough evidence here to convict, because I don't even think he's necessarily making the argument that the guy's innocent. He's just like, there's not enough evidence here to convict. We need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I refuse to go along with the rest of this jury.
Right, and part of what comes out is the racism aspect. Is that he was the reason some of the people want to convict him immediately is that he's a young Hispanic male. Right, he's Hispanic.
Right, which is... I mean, I'm sure, like, a lot of that has gone... It's just kind of ironic, because, like, the most famous example of that kind of jury thing happening I can think of is the O.J. Simpson trial, which is literally the opposite, right? Because, like, they all think, oh, okay, it's... The reason they're going after O.J. Simpson is because they're all racist and they want to take down this, like, successful black man.
Right.
Also, the glove doesn't fit, except the glove's obviously going to shrink when you put it in storage and it's been soaked in blood. They found them covered in, like, gallons of...
Well, no, but
I mean,
okay.
he came out with a fucking book called If I Did It, and he purposely made the words if, like, tiny to the point of being unreadable and hidden inside. It literally just says O.J. Simpson, and in giant letters, I did it. Like,
O.J. Simpson.
This exists. This is a real book.
Mein Kampf, maybe, by O.J. Simpson. So. Okay, well, just to be clear, the example you gave now was an egregious example of a wealthy person who can afford
He
really
can afford
expensive...
Alan Dershowitz to play around with the media, basically.
Yeah, and Kardashian,
Right?
Kardashian,
who came to regret it later.
Yeah. But so speaking of privilege, someone who has all this privilege, he is also an African American male.
Right.
Now we have to put that aside because he was a person with a lot of money who can get a
right. So
himself
the dark side of intersectionality, right? He has all this privilege. Well, I mean, I guess he had the privilege to say shit like, "I'm not black, I'm OJ," right? Like he would say that in interviews. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he would literally say, "I'm not black, I'm OJ."
Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. Well, the reason I said all that and putting in all these caveats is that most of the time, when you say when you have like, oh, the police or the prosecutors and all that are probably racist, or this is because of a racist structure. That is the case.
Oh yeah.
And that's not to say
that's the class privilege structure, right? Yeah. Like he's able to use his class privilege to exploit race.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Right. Wow. Talk about cynical.
Well, but then he was a fucking idiot, and he decided to do an armed robbery to get back some of his like football trophies, and now he's back. Or no, I think he got out, but he was in prison for a good 10 years over that, and that was like some stupid like redneck shit. Like,
what do you mean?
Well, no. So O.J. Simpson, like, the reason he finally did go to prison, right?
Yeah. Well, he had to pay. There was a civil trial, and he lost the civil trial, so he had to pay a lot of that. Or was there there more?
Well, you had to pay a lot of that, but no, but they can't jail you over. They can't give you prison time over a civil trial.
I mean, in terms of his wealth.
I mean, in terms of wealth, that's where all his money went. But the reason he went to prison is because he committed an armed robbery to get like one of his Heisman trophies back, or like some football cards or something. I forget exactly what it was he stole, but it was something like the kind of stuff that I would find in a thrift store if I got really lucky, basically. But it was in his house, and he's like, "This is some bullshit that I don't get to have this in my house anymore." So he commits an armed robbery to get it. This time, he can't afford Alan Dershowitz, so he just went straight to the slammer.
Yeah. I wonder how much of the sentence was sort of not an explicit, but sort of a hidden. This might be. It might only deserve 2 to 3 years jail for this, but he needs to pay. He has a debt for murdering Nicole Kidman, a debt that he hasn't paid. So we're going to make this sentence.
Nicole Kidman?
Not Nicole Kidman. Oh my God!
No, she's still alive and well.
Wow. What was his wife's name?
Nicole Brown.
Thank you, Nicole Brown. Wow. Okay.
And her lover.
And
everybody forgets about Ron Goldman.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't forget about the Rons.
Right. Wasn't it? And it was actually the civil trial was the Goldman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Was there a civil trial over Nicole Brown? I know there definitely involved
that is a good
the death
question.
of the murder of Ron Goldman. But anyways, no, I'm just wondering if there's an aspect of that was he should have gotten a sentence
it's like
for
when
that.
the Oscar when they give the Best Picture Oscar to like the director who looks the oldest and like they're about to die.
Yeah, they're not going to have another chance, so yeah, they deserve it.
Right, which is kind of funny that was what everybody was saying when they gave Martin Scorsese that Oscar for The Departed, but he's still making movies. He's probably going to get another Best Picture Oscar. It sounds like because I haven't seen any other movies getting those kinds of reviews on the internet. I haven't seen it yet, but
yeah, people are talking about it nonstop. And they're putting Scorsese's thing with the Marvel movies aside. This whole The Irishman, I can't stop hearing about it, or it keeps popping up. And I think part of it is it's also on Netflix, right? It was in the theaters.
Oh yeah, it was in the theaters
Netflix
for like a week, and then it shows up on Netflix. And yeah, I guess we could do. I mean, that's one 4-hour movie we could watch. To go back to an earlier part of this discussion, have you ever seen John Eustache's The Mother and the Whore?
You said John Eustache, and I was like, probably not. The Mother and the Whore.
Jean-Pierre Léaud, the guys in all those Truffaut movies. It's hilarious.
No, I've not seen it.
It's like really too few people have seen that movie. It's very strange, but in a low-key way. I've been wanting to show Elizabeth that for a while. The only downside is that it's 4 hours long.
Is 4 hours the right length for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it should be 4 hours
it feels
long.
right. Like, I got through in one sitting. I was not expecting to.
Okay. No, I don't have a problem with a 4-hour movie. What I have a problem with is a 4-hour movie that should have been a 2-hour movie or less.
Right.
There is a film, I think it's Japanese, and it's probably like 3.5 hours long, and it's this guy and these two kids on maybe in like a minivan or something like that. And
okay, we saw this one.
I'm having trouble finding out the name. Maybe I could just do a few more Google searches than I was doing before, and I'd get it. Because I'd like to share that movie with folks. Because that's a movie I think it was 3.5 hours long, and it was exactly the right length. And Elizabeth the Podguest is now back in
she got
the
a new
recording
candle.
My boss gave
She's
it
on
to
fire.
me. It smells like sun lotion.
Ew, it looks like
That sounds awful.
like very classy poo.
I feel like it kind of smells nice.
It really does smell like. Now that you
it's
told me
sweet.
suntan lotion, like I can't unsmell it.
Doesn't it kind of smell like sun? Well, it's sun and sand, but I think that they just like made it smell like sun lotion.
Oh wait, I want to feel it. Wait.
You want to feel it?
Oh, just a can. Oh, I thought you meant there's sand in the candle.
Oh
talking.
no! Yeah, there's sun.
Yeah, there's sun in there too. Yeah, I
sunlight.
guess. Yeah. Well, let's say it was. There's sand in it, and it was cooked in the sun. Cooked. Is that how you make? That's how you make a candle, right? You cook it.
You cook it.
Yeah, that's what we watched tonight.
Oh my god.
Barbarella, which I guess has been on that shelf.
Heathen like rumpus has been going on in this household.
And there were 4 guys sitting on the couch watching Barbarella.
You used the bowl.
Oh yeah, that's a really pretty bowl. Yeah.
It's art.
Elizabeth bought a new bowl.
It's artist made from Maine.
Cool.
I bought this in an art gallery. That's where I buy my kitchenwares now.
It's all handmade, local artists.
It's round.
Local artists
it's
from Maine.
Floating in the air. It's being shown off, much like Jane Fonda's breasts.
I'm just kidding.
Elizabeth is modeling the bowl.
Barbarella.
I want my entire I want my kitchen to be filled with just beautiful items.
Well, here, if you're going to say it on the podcast.
Yeah, that's a great goal. Right, but now
Elizabeth has a new life goal. This is going to be a running segment on the show. But tell us your life goal this week, podcast Elizabeth.
I want my kitchen to be filled with beautiful handcrafted items.
And now that you've announced it on the podcast to our pod audience, you're accountable. You're going to be held accountable.
Stay tuned for next week when I acquire another beautiful handcrafted item.
Ooh, where's this one coming from? Okay.
So
one of them might be, I know that I'm getting a gift. I know that I'm getting a spoon holder for Christmas.
Ooh.
And it's also ceramic.
So we've had 2 instances of e-bagging on this show so far, and we want you, the audience, to make cash bets on whether our kitchen will get filled first with beautiful handcrafted items or broken Game Boys.
Are you trying to ruin my life?
This was sitting over here. I was laughing, hit my head into it.
Did you break it?
No.
You need a hammer to break that thing.
No, but
surprising sturdy.
It led to a discussion of I don't know how long, which ended up with me asking our listeners to send Dan Game Boys.
No.
So you're welcome.
No,
Elizabeth.
you didn't.
You're welcome.
No.
Because that's what you wanted was more Game Boys in the apartment.
You're an enabler.
Ron was enabling me to e-bag, and now
all right, well,
Elizabeth is
I'm putting on a second call to all you people. Start mailing me beautiful handcrafted items.
All right.
Because this is war. And I'm just going to keep saying that phrase over and over again until
And I ask you, dear listeners, can you play 4-player Faceball on beautiful handcrafted items? I think not. Case closed.
Well, if you put the Game Boys inside the beautiful handcrafted.
No, all kidding aside, there's enough crap in the house. I don't need anything else. Yeah. If anything, if you need, if what you need to do is come out to see me at the flea market this weekend and buy some crap.
That's a great advertisement, considering that this episode won't go live for another week and a half.
Oh, you think I'm going to be done getting rid of the crap in 1 week?
Oh, well, that's true. That's true, right.
Ron is an optimist.
So this is really an evergreen invitation because you'll be at the flea market often.
Yeah, we're
or elsewhere around the greater Boston universe.
Elizabeth is still modeling. I think she's using the bowl to say
what is again beautiful
handcrafted items.
Beautiful handcrafted items. So do send the second e-bag sending over beautiful handcrafted items. Holds.
So we can get rid of the crap, I don't need any more crap in my life. What I need are beautiful handcrafted items.
If you if you need a hack Nintendo Wii, I got at least 5 of those in the basement.
So after a brief pause, we returned and started talking about Dan's movie Acquaintances. We just celebrated its 10-year anniversary, and we celebrated with a big special screening, a gala performance with a multitude of people in the audience.
mean, they're going to be really disappointed when they realize it's just like an incredibly depressing movie. Because I kind of sold it as just like, oh, it's about this guy with his knuckles.
You always sell it as that, but it's not what it's about. That's at the very end of the movie.
Wait, that's the spoiler.
Yeah, right. You sell it by ruining the end of the movie every single time.
Well, how would you sell it?
I would sell it as, okay, how about this? It's a rich biographical study of a multitude of people with which I was associated.
Oh, it's what I could make for $54 with a shitty camera when I was 17.
And by the way, it's available online on YouTube. So you don't just have to be here to watch it.
If you want to watch it again,
you have to pay a monthly subscription.
Yeah, it's called Daniel Plus. You get a full package of all 2 of my movies.
Episodes of the podcast. Select episodes of the podcast.
Right. Rolled out as we figure out how to crop them into widescreen from their original 4:3 aspect ratio.
Do you know that we have that we are posting to YouTube?
We are posting to YouTube?
Yeah. But the video consists of just the thumbnail, just a static image of the thumbnail.
Oh, okay.
For however long.
That's how I listen to a lot of podcasts. Okay,
oh, okay.
I'll have to link it up with my YouTube account then, because I feel like I have at least 20 subscribers on YouTube that I just ignore, and they probably forgot I exist.
That's 19 more than our YouTube channel has. But I'm the only person that knows it exists. I mean, you didn't know about that until 30 seconds ago. So you knew about it, though. Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Well, we're doing a slow rollout of Daniel Plus.
Can I just start my own podcast about like gross food encounters?
Sure. Easy to do.
Yeah,
We've got space.
Would you guys want to be on it?
Sure. Sounds like fun.
I mean,
we'll just come with a gross food story that we had that week. We have to have one a week, so we have to like start eating.
If I just walk around the apartment with a tape recorder, I could fill out that podcast within like a week. I swear to God.
About eating gross food?
No, about Elizabeth like having doubt. Like I just believe in food, or maybe it's that I don't have this leap of belief necessary before I eat food. I just eat it, and I was kind of like, you know what? If it's going to catch up with me later, it's going to catch up once, maybe. I mean, I guess I have a really strong stomach.
You're like the person who, you see, yeah, I have a very sensitive digestive system.
Me too.
Yeah, so you get it.
So I understand gross food. And I understand getting sick from food.
Yeah, I literally don't ever go to Milk Bar. Just don't do it.
What? Oh, I hear you.
Milk Bar? Is that thing in Clockwork Orange with all the boobs?
You're right. It's Malovo.
Yeah, he walks into that bar where they're like all drinking milk out of like fake Greek statue boobs.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's disturbing.
And it's really some sort of
movie.
I mean, it's some sort of drug. It's not just plain old cow's milk or even goat milk or almond milk.
It's just like drugs.
Yeah, it's some kind of drug. I mean, it's like going to a bar and drinking liquor.
Somebody needs to do like a supercut of all the fake drugs in 60, because there was, to go back to Barbarella, they were all smoking out of this giant bong that just has a man in it. They say like, oh, we're smoking essence of man, but it's so obviously just a fucking giant bong with like a really uncomfortable looking dude swimming in it.
That's what we just watched. So it wasn't just a Jane Fonda side boob.
Oh.
It was in this one scene there's the guy, the scantily clad guy in the small glass tank, the glass globe that's half filled with water, and so he's constantly swimming in it. Doesn't look like he could comfortably sit in it, so he has to keep moving.
Oh my god.
So that's what they're smoking out of. In the same room there's a woman dangling. She's wearing some leather outfit that's kind of like straps, and then there are long leather straps that are keeping her suspended above ground.
Oh wait,
and kind of swinging.
Speaking of which,
like torture.
We didn't mention my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, what's that?
When she says "decrucify him," because I think that's the only time the word "decrucify" has ever shown up in the English language. Like, don't you think like Jesus was watching that from, because he's like watching us all the time, and he's like, damn it, why did I think of that?
Yeah, this is like, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? It should be Father, Father, decrucify me. Okay, we just lost the rest of our listeners. We lost listeners for multiple reasons throughout. So yeah, the
what's a
remainder.
few
This
more?
has been
Yeah,
a controversial episode.
Yeah.
It hasn't even aired yet.
We
We didn't even talk about you watching Heil Honey, I'm Home.
All right, I have to go to.
Oh yeah. Wait. I just want to say one thing, Elizabeth. This is great. We had a really long discussion about feminism. Two white guys are sitting around here talking about feminism and intersectionality. Now, granted, I'm queer, so I get the extra. It's not two straight white guys. So, but still, it's still two white guys talking about feminism and intersectionality.
And
It's
how
great.
it relates to Jane Fonda's
I mean,
Yeah.
like, you're not allowed. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know where I was going with that.
One
No.
boob,
I know what you mean. Anybody's allowed to discuss anything, but
Right.
one
there's terms you
boob,
can't use. But
two boob,
Right.
the intersection.
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
I mean, I didn't design
Also,
the
that's
outfit.
like not how boobs work.
Well, that's how one of these outfits.
A Venn diagram of breasts.
She changes outfits more than
That
fucking
sounds like the
Cher.
worst kind of push-up bra ever.
It's, forget the Wonder Bra. We've got the Venn Bra.
Well, what about Total Recall? There's that lady, the alien lady with the three boobs.
Yeah, and there's the triple-breasted whore of whatever from
And there's a
from
lady
the
at
Hitchhiker's Guide.
the flea market
Oh.
in Mallrats where she has the fake third nipple that she uses to tell people's fortunes, and then she eats it at the end.
Oh yeah, that was the woman who
You
replaced.
lost me at like third boob. I think I'm gonna go to bed.
No, the third one is the one that sees the future.
Good night.
Good night.
We won't be much longer.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we should do the sign off.
Well, no. We've got Super Friends, and he wanted me to say something about Heil Honey. No, what was it?
Oh, we could cover the Heil Honey, I'm Home later.
Okay,
I was
alright.
mostly just joking that because we
Oh,
were saying
yeah.
how we've lost most of our listenership. by
Oh,
being
yeah,
offensive
yeah.
At this point, I was like, we haven't even talked about Ron and Heil Honey, I'm Home yet.
Well, if next episode
Next up was
when we'll get some new listeners, hopefully, then we can get them to leave by talking about a Hitler sitcom. But so there's a teaser. But Super Friends, spend a few minutes on that and then wrap up.
Yeah, okay. So we watched Attack of the Cats. The podcast is watching us as we discuss this now to make sure we don't say anything offensive to the cat population. So plot summary: there's a lab. They're working on something with cats, and this lady's like, "Oh, this is gonna do something with the cats," and clearly not backfire spectacularly because we don't have the self-awareness to realize that we're on an episode of Super Friends. Obviously, it does backfire. She breaks it. It falls on her. It makes her into a cat person who wants to turn everyone else into a cat person by scratching them. Basically, zombie rules of transmission, zombie movie style rules of transmission. The other person in the lab becomes a giant cat person. And instead of just going around scratching everyone to make them cats, though, they decide to go to the local zoo and free Leo the lion and all the other cat relatives in the local zoo.
And that is the lion's name, Leo.
Right. And at various points, Superman does not show up in this episode. Green Lantern shown up in I think one episode so far.
He was in one episode but they were fighting a few people in the Legion of Doom.
And we get the offensive token Mexican superhero whose name I can't even. They don't put him on the box.
El Dorado, I think.
Yeah, El Dorado, who is covered in Aztec iconography, but for some reason speaks halting English mixed with Spanish.
He says mi amigo several times.
Yeah, and and he said he mispronounces muy bueno. He says muy bueno, or no, muy rapido. He says muy rapido because he's clearly being voiced by someone who's never met a Mexican person in their life. But and that was representation on TV in 1982, 83.
Yeah, this was the Super Friends.
This is lost episodes.
Yeah.
So this is later.
And they intentionally included that they wanted to add some diversity and some and have some inclusion. So they added several heroes, several superheroes of color. Except that so it was progressive in that sense. But now looking back at it, wow, those are really racist racist
They did the
portrayals.
they put in the bare minimum of effort
Yeah.
with the superheroes of color. But anyway, he ends up being the only person the crew in this episode's him, Robin, and Batman pretty much. We get to see Cat Batman, referred to as Catman, not to be confused with the actual Batman character Catman, who is kind of stupid and forgettable anyway. So I don't have. We're gonna get a lot of hate mail from the hardcore Catman fans. You scratch me and then make me a Catman, right? We get to see Cat Robin.
El Dorado. Oh, sorry.
Well, El Dorado never reaches cat form, right? El Dorado just ends up saving the day by
El Dorado saves the day
by getting the antidote.
He turns invisible so that he can go into the elephant cage and grab the serum, the antidote, the little contraption the Batman made with the antidote that was thrown into the elephant cage. But he has to be invisible, but then become visible again in order to grab the contraption.
Which doesn't make any sense.
So if you're going to sneak into jump or whatever into an elephant cage, always remember, turn invisible first. Step 1, become invisible. Step 2, go into elephant cage. Step 3, become uninvisible.
Because the danger of an elephant is really that it'll see you, not that it'll step on you, clearly. There was so much... Oh, but we do get some great, Batman in the lab coming up with an antidote immediately.
Because he's a...
porn, where it basically looks like he's got boogers in a test tube, and he's got boogers in a beaker, and he's just mixing them willy-nilly back and forth. But Batman boogers are apparently the only thing that'll change you from being a ravenous cat person back to being just a person, I guess.
But so then El Dorado, he gets a serum. He sprays the antidote on everyone, and everyone goes back to human. That's it. 4 people. There were 4 cat people very briefly, and now all 4 cat people are gone.
I feel like these episodes are so short that when you normally encounter a Deus Ex Machina in a narrative, for those who don't know, that's Latin for God and the Machine, which doesn't really clarify anything for somebody who doesn't know what that means. But basically what it means is when you throw in a thing just because you fucking want the story to end, and it's just sort of God coming in saying all right, here's a way to end this. I don't care. Right. And so with these shorter Super Friends episodes, because the thing is, usually it's the plot has gone on for a long time, and the Deus Ex Machina goes in there to sort of smooth things out. In the case of these episodes, it's almost as if events themselves are only occurring to set up this Deus Ex Machina, right? It's a problem that didn't need to exist, is not given any weight, and then is solved with literally nothing. Just Batman is kind of solved. Yeah.
Batman could just do anything. He's suddenly an expert in molecular biology, as we're told. The voiceover, probably Ted Knight. No, I don't know who the voiceover is in this one, but...
Well, you could literally have an episode of this where it's just Batman misplaces his wallet, right? And it would have about the same amount of dramatic weight and probably last the same runtime. It's it's in my other bat suit. Okay.
That sounds like an episode of Super Friends that would appear in Adult Swim.
Well, I always wanted to make a... Well, I don't think I ever seriously wanted to make this, but Cable in the X-Men comics? With all the pouches and the giant... He's always carrying a gun that's bigger than his torso.
Uh-huh.
And, well, I guess he was more an X-Force than X-Men, but I always wanted to make a series just called Basic Cable. It's just him doing, buying groceries for a page, or him flipping channels on TV for a page. And, no conflict, kind of zen Little Bear, right? Like an episode of Little Bear. In English class, they always tell you a story needs conflict. An episode of Little Bear will literally just be Little Bear decides to make soup. His friends decide, we're going to go make soup. They make soup. They eat the soup. There's no conflict.
Okay.
Yet somehow it has this bizarre hypnotic appeal.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm just an old man who should not be watching Little Bear, but... like there was another. Okay, show
You're
technically for adults. What about Brian? It was only on for 1 year. Same kind of deal. Conflicts don't actually happen, yet it's like oddly transfixing because of the fact that they're non-issues that are resolved with about as much weight, about as much dramatic weight as they have initially as being problems. Like it's just sort of people existing, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, that show sucked. It was a terrible, terrible show. But
so it wasn't mesmerizing in the same way as Little Bear.
it was, though, in a weird way.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, I wouldn't say Little Bear is like a great show by any means. It just has this sort of, you're just kind of watching a thing happen.
Uh-huh.
I guess that's probably like the appeal of live streams, right? You're just kind of watching nothing happen, but in a specific context.
Well, we can't apply that to Super Friends because something actually happened.
Right.
Okay.
But it's like such, like, especially in Attack of the Cats, it's such a nothing that it may as well, like, nothing happened, right? Like, there's no complication.
There's no dramatic tension.
Like, if there's a moral to it, it's pretty much that problems exist in the world so that Batman can show off another hobby, right? Because he's got a new, like, seemingly every episode, there's, like, a new field that he's an expert in.
Right.
He's like, oh, I got a spaceship. We better go on an adventure.
Right. Not only does he suddenly have a little space plane, he can fly in space.
Mm.
He knows how to fly in space. Well, he knows how to fly, period. But which we already knew.
He has he has a bat plane, I guess.
Yeah. Right. So we already knew he could fly. That was known. Except that now he can fly in space. That's not this episode. That was the an earlier episode that we saw.
Well, with like the technology that Batman has, wouldn't the U.S. military, especially given the time periods we're seeing him have this technology, he has better technology than the U.S. military does at that point in time, right?
Right.
Like in several ways. Wouldn't they see Batman, this private entity, hoarding all of this like military grade or better than military grade technology as a massive domestic threat?
Well, but he should also go to jail for everything that he's doing.
That's true.
Too, even though he might only be beating up criminals, but he's still not supposed to beat them up. I mean, cops aren't supposed to beat. Well, they're not supposed to beat up perps.
Well, he's privileged.
Innocent or otherwise.
He has friends in high places, right? He's like the inverse Garth Brooks.
Batman. You're not talking about Bruce Wayne now, right? Just Batman alone has friends in high places.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Bruce Wayne has a lot of friends in high places. I mean, he is.
Well, yeah, but there's
the Wayne Corporation,
right? But I mean, in what you're describing, the relationships that you're describing, this is about Batman. Because Bruce, well, wait, I put a note to follow up on something. What we're saying is that the military, the government, etc., will see what Batman does.
Well, I'm thinking about like
has.
the Anti-Pinkerton Act, right, of 1890. Like they see, like, oh, okay, the Pinkerton Detective Agency has essentially become a private army. We have to nip this in the bud before it can rival the U.S. Military, because then the U.S. effectively does not have sovereignty when compared to the Pinkerton Agency. Batman has all of these gadgets, gizmos, etc., that are far more advanced technology than what the military has, and he's a private citizen. He clearly has his own agenda that does not have to do with the sovereignty of the United States as a nation or its ability, or I'm not saying basically restating what sovereignty is for those who don't know what specific, because I'm using it in a specific context, I guess, but basically the ability to unilaterally enforce laws, etc., right? Batman is an existential threat to U.S. sovereignty by his existence and having all these fun gadgets.
The military,
although I guess so is Superman, right? Like that's why they always have to brainwash him or something whenever they do a revisionist take on the Justice League.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, Superman's more powerful than the U.S. military, so essentially if Superman decides one day, like, oh, the U.S. is running wrong, like he could just completely, he could create a lot of problems.
But what do you mean what do you mean they brainwash him every time?
Well, I'm thinking about like Dark Knight Returns, right? They always kind of show him as like Reagan's lackey whenever they show him. shit. I mean, there's that. I think it was Grant Morrison writing Justice League, and he has Batman go and basically fuck up every other member of the Justice League to show that he has files and he can do this if they ever go rogue. That was a really dark Justice League storyline, but that was also kind of interesting to think about. And then they all come back and they're like, "Oh shit, Batman's got my number."
No, but what do you mean they brainwash Superman every time? I still don't understand. I sort of understand. Well, no, I don't even understand in The Dark Knight. But that's just one example. So
okay, maybe brainwash was the wrong term, but Superman has to be in an emotional relationship with the United States government where he feels he does not have independent agency over what said government would want.
Right.
Like, we never see Superman directly contradict the U.S. government because essentially his existence, if he shows any kind of recalcitrance or obstinance, undermines the entire idea that the U.S. is a sovereign nation, presuming that Superman exists.
Yeah, he rescues cats from trees, not invokes Article 25.
Oh yeah. And like police officers, like how do police officers feel about, right? Because like Superman's kind of making them look like shit all the time.
Oh no, he helps them.
Well,
the way that he's seen,
but they look like an ineffectual, compared to Superman, a police, like Superman's like an on-demand taxi. By comparison, the actual like uniformed human police look like I don't know, taking like a rickshaw with like a scrawny, like Santa's little helper at the front of it, right? Compared to Superman. If there suddenly weren't these giant cosmic problems all the time, most of which are being attracted by the Super Friends, and the fact that they are the Super Friends, and Superman decides like, oh, okay, I'm going to start enforcing domestic law in some capacity. I don't know. I feel like that would create an identity crisis for a lot of people in like law enforcement positions. I don't know. Maybe if you're listening to this over at DC Comics, I am willing to write this comic book for money. That's my last e-begging for the show.
Right. We've got two e-begs now.
And we had an e-neg from Elizabeth.
And what did you say, e-meg?
So we had an e-beg, and then it was e-neg-gated by Elizabeth.
Yes, one of the e-begs was e-neg.
About a G-aim boy.
Yeah. Okay, so
I guess
let's see, Super Friends. Any other thoughts on? Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this episode. I mean, yeah, like I said before, it had a simple structure, beginning, middle, end. It wrapped itself up nice and cleanly at the end.
You pointed out it doesn't end on like a moral or a joke.
It doesn't end on one of those unfunny jokes. It doesn't. I mean, you could maybe say that the last 30 seconds are that, but that just some event happens. They take the lion back into the cage and they lure it with like raw meat or something like that.
No! The lion's like about to attack the janitor at the zoo, and he's like, "That cat doesn't seem friendly." And then Superman's like,
Batman.
Batman, right? Batman's like, "Ha ha ha!
He's friendly.
No, he's your friend. He just wants that raw meat that you're carrying around in a bucket for some reason." After having been attacked by cat people, you're still carrying around this raw steak in a bucket. Like,
so I guess it was an unfunny joke. It just lasted longer. But usually they have that really pithy like one-liner at the end that is, it's one line. That doesn't make it a one-liner. They do deliver one final line that just kind of stands out. So yeah, but in concert with those, I'm not using that term properly, but along those lines, this ending is also not funny.
Oh yeah.
So there's no so in that sense it's consistent. It's a consistent ending.
I mean, it's definitely a Super Friends episode. I wouldn't say that this is like there's nothing in here makes me think like, oh, this isn't a Super Friends episode. It like hits the beats. All right, so I guess we better sign off now. So this has been Dan,
and this has been Ron.
This is a nominee, or has been a nominee.
It has been. It will no longer be a nominee in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. I'm fading into the distance.